So thank you for agreeing to be a part of our interview series. My first question, you've spoken about the need for a new paradigm in education, one that'll place higher value on creativity and entrepreneurship. Could you talk about that a little bit?
Sure, I think right now our traditional education paradigm, which is what we practice today, almost in every school, and there are very few schools or exceptions, is about preparing employees. That is, we want to help our people to develop the skills, knowledge, and talent to find employment, jobs created by other people. However, those jobs are disappearing very quickly, and so thanks to the development of technology and globalization, offshoring. And it looks like right now, given the data we look at, we are in a new economy where employment is actually going to be very rare. So if we want to keep continuing preparing our students to look for jobs, they're going to be very disappointed. Right now, we have a lot of college graduates living in our basement. The boomer children, they are not independent. They are not finding jobs. 50% of our American college graduates. This is a global phenomenon. So I think we have arrived at a time we need a lot more entrepreneurs and creators who will take our resource, our opportunities to create jobs for themselves and for other people. And that kind of people cannot come out of the existing paradigm. No matter how hard we try to prescribe our curriculum, common core or not, whatever you prescribe, you're still prescribing things that you expect students to meet the needs of others when they have to rethink, recreate. So the new paradigm is not about entrepreneurship education. It is when education oriented toward preparing entrepreneurs.
So how do you see education adapting to promote entrepreneurship, creativity, and do you see that tied to a role with technology and how it might be employed?
Yes, I think the education may not be able to adapt. Education have to transform.
Okay.
I was reading an old book by Seymour Papert called The Children's Machine, written in 1993. He was talking about how we have to reimagine education. Okay. He said, for example, when the Wright brothers flew the 59 seconds flight, most people laughed at them, said, you are going to use that to replace the horse wagon? You're going to not some new way of doing transportation? People laugh at them. Yeah. But some people had the imagination to imagine a new industry. Industry today with space shuttles landing on comets and jumbo jets. And today with technology plays a major role, but technology cannot use to innovate, to do incremental innovations or improvement in existing education. We have to really reimagine what education can do. We have to stop fixing the past. For example, we try to have better curriculum. Mm-hmm. No better curriculum can work as well as trying to ask the students. Let's personalize the curriculum. Let's start with the children. So we can change, but we have to really reimagine to abandon the tradition, you believe the elements of traditional education. The same thing with Nokia. Nokia phone is dead because it tries to make a dumb phone smarter, not inventing a smartphone. That's why it's dead. So that's the kind of thinking. I think today we're trapped by what we have. So I would say education does not need to adapt, it needs to transform.
So have you seen any glimpse of this sort of transformative educational experience?
Oh yeah.
What would it begin to look like? Could you talk a little bit?
Yes, actually, I wrote in my book is that the idea is not really new, but it's going to serve a different purpose. For example, we have some democratic schools like Sudbury School, Summerhill, and they have been following children for a long time, half a century. But they did it for a different purpose. They just want to make children happy. Today, I think those ideas are of economical value and economical necessity now. So they happen to serve a different purpose. Child-centered education has been going on for a long time, from Rousseau to John Dewey, and project-based learning we've seen in high-tech highs going very strong, or we've seen pockets of those things. Even though they existed for a different reason, but actually we have those ideas out there. But they've never somehow emerged to be the mainstream. They've always been kind of the boutique educational ideas only crazy parents, wealthy parents can do those things. Now we need to take the outliers as the mainstream. We need to take accidents as a system. So we can find those things.
So what seems to be happening in American education, even though those ideas were particularly American, is a movement towards assessment that's standardized. Common Core is an example. Many measures are as a result of standardized assessments. And I know you've been critical of that. Could you talk a little bit about that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I look at America as on a suicidal mission, but in the name of educational excellence. You know, when sometimes in human history, this happens a lot. When we want something, but we mistake it for something else we call false gold, and we sacrifice our potential or strength. I think right now the Common Core, Common Assessment, you're probably seeing the rising number of states trying to do child kindergarten readiness assessment, which is really sad and crazy. It's that, kindergarten is by no means a job. I mean, kindergarten, we should never be ready for kindergarten. Kindergarten should always be ready for us. I despise any schools called readiness test. Right. Because, you know, the school is, as an institution, your education, you're supposed to take care of everybody. If you select those who are ready to come to your school, it's really sad, by the way. So I think all this craziness has something to do, we are misguided by the mistaken definition of educational quality. We think the acquisition of certain abilities, knowledge, so as to meet a prescribed set of standards or assessment is quality. Remember, you know, any assessment, no matter what they are, no matter how good they are made by a few people. Right. And a few people can hardly capture what the whole entire society needs. Right. And we're not a Soviet Union kind of planned economy. Someone can dictate, we need this, we need that. It does not inspire greatness. So we're really giving up on the even accidental advantages America even had. We're giving up for something. So I would say, like, you know, we are pursuing a goal that takes us backwards 200 years. That is, we are trying to be as obsolete as the Chinese education system because it looks so good. And it looks so good. America did never achieve such good scores because it's not as obsolete. It's not as authoritarian. It's not as controlling. And now we're giving up because, again, we are trapped by the illusion of educational quality.
So if you're a parent, and I'm listening to what you have to say, and I have a suspicion about the quality of assessment by standardized means, what is the system that might be used that would reassure a parent that a child is learning? What kind of assessment would replace what is currently being used, in your view?
You know, I get that question all the time, and I kind of refuse to answer that question, but I will do it for you. Because I really think the good assessment cannot be standardized. There's no standardized assessment assesses your child. And your child is a unique individual who is live, who is not a machine. And your child has passion, interest, emotion, social capacity, social desire. A good assessment is one assesses if your child is getting better every day in what she or he is interested in. A good school helps my child strengthen her passion, supports her unique pursuit, giving her enough opportunity to learn about her strengths and her weaknesses, and involving her learn how to fail, how to develop resilience. I want a school actually really would not give my kids A's all the time. I want my kids to learn how to fail. But with good support, with good reason. I wanted my child to come home and say, I did horrible today on this project, and tomorrow I want to go back, I want to do more of this. A school, perhaps the best assessment is I learned from somebody else, Milton Chen, I think, of George Lucas Education Foundation, said, a good measure of a school is, does your child want to go into the school faster than she wants to leave the school? That's a good measure.
That's a good line. That's a good measure, I agree. If you're about to speak to school leaders, but when you speak to school leaders or possibly trustees, What advice do you give them? What should their focus be as they anticipate changes and readying students for this entrepreneurial, creative possibility?
I think we really have to go back to talk about the mission of education. Is not indoctrination, it is actually liberating of individuals. It is to support and enable every person to be independent, to celebrate this individual children's rights and liberty, and help our children develop as good citizens. So that means we have to not really abandon the myth of externally prescribed standards. I think today a lot of our trustees, school leaders believe there's great prescription there, like the international tests like PISA, TIMSS, they measure something. They don't. They really don't. I'm actually, maybe I come back to all these trustees. Why would a Chinese student from Shanghai, China, spend 10 times more money, come to your private school, and when they can achieve the same test scores over there, what else are you doing to these kids? They don't want that thing. You have no value. Your value here is we respect child. I want our trustees, our school leaders to create alternative environment to something outside world cannot provide. So therefore our trustees have to abandon any external prescription for so-called standards and quality. We need to look very hard at our students, what they can do, what they want to do. Our children are smarter, much more capable, and much more socially responsible, and strong motivation to learn than we give them credit for. And we need to think that human beings are fundamentally good. So are our children. And they will, when they grow, if you will give them autonomy to take responsibility for their learning, it will be much more powerful. So my suggestion is really talking about, we need to return the rights and ownership of learning to children. We cannot say we have to teach them something. No, we will help them learn. Do not teach, help them learn. Help children learn is our responsibility. Not as arrogant, authoritarian way, I will teach you something. I think that's too arrogant. Today with technology, with all the resources, children want to learn, children can learn, they need our guidance, need our support.
Have you given out, in the last question, thought about how to transform teacher education so that we have teachers who are supporting this vision of child-centeredness, creativity?
I've given some thought to that. I think the challenge is right now that we need to change the first of the definition of what a teacher does. Okay. Look at the role of teachers we define really mainly as instructors. So you look at all teacher evaluation, what we do, we go observe a teacher, how well you deliver instruction, which is really determined by your way of delivering and how much you know the content. So I don't think that matters as much given the accessibility of information everywhere. What really matters, which we ignore, is does a teacher inspire my child? Does a teacher give my children enough confidence? Does a teacher provide social emotional support? If you look in our life, we've been affected most by those who helped us as a person, non-cognitive side of it, not those who taught me this great chemical formula. I've never remembered that. I remember those who hurt me, who said, you're really horrible, you're stupid and dumb. I also remember those who said, you are great, I want to help you, I want to change. So we need to change teachers. We need to help teachers become more human beings than machines. The traditional paradigm treats teachers as a mechanical transmission device. We need to help teachers become really more human beings, as a mentor, as advisor, as an adult. So we can treat our students as human learners, not as mechanical recipients.
Well, thank you very much for letting on that note.
Okay, great,
Very much
thank you.
appreciated.
Thank you.